Hello, how are you? I'm Ignacio Grifol and I'm here with Kid Chocolate, Mo Jabari. How are you?
Good, brother. Good, brother. How are you?
I'm pretty fine. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure, man.
Well, I want to interview you because you have a project in mind. Now is taking the first steps. And I want to start with the very first question. Can you tell me your first memory about pro wrestling?
Say that again, sorry.
Can you tell me your first memories about pro wrestling?
Oh, of wrestling? Man, see, my I'm pretty young still, but my early memories of wrestling go all the way back to the, late Attitude Era, So like I am the John Cenas and the Randy Ortons. That's my era, that was my people.
Hmm.
It was good, man. My favorite, man, DX, when DX was coming back, that late Shawn Michaels, Triple H, era. But my best memory of wrestling is Randy Orton, man. Randy Orton's one of my favorite wrestlers ever.
Hmm.
So there's that. I wish I got to watch wrestling back in the 90s and stuff. I do today, but I wish I was old enough to watch that. But my era was decent too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, I have read that your mother was a refugee from Somalia.
Yeah. My mom's from Somalia. I was born in Kenya.
You
I was
were
born
born
in
in
Kenya.
Kenya.
I was born in Kenya, but my mom was Somalian. She came from Somalia to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, and then when she had me, we proceeded to go to a refugee camp after that,
Oh,
and then from there we came to Canada. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it has to be a really tough experience.
Oh yes, absolutely. For her, absolutely for her more than for me, because
Hmm.
I was still very young. I didn't
Yeah.
really register what I was in, but for her more than me, she raised me in a tough area, tough living conditions for that. The refugee camp we were in wasn't the best, especially towards women. She's a tough lady, and I appreciate everything she's ever done for me and my siblings. We love her, man. We love her. She's a great woman.
Yeah. Well, you started to train wrestling with Lance Storm in the Storm Academy. Uh,
Yeah.
what did you learn from him?
Man, Lance is the perfect coach. Perfect. If you're starting wrestling, if you're a person who's trying to become a wrestler, unfortunately he's not a trainer no more. But at the time, if you were a person who was trying to get into the wrestling business, no better person to go to Lance. Yeah, I went there 2017.
Hmm.
Uh, no experience of prior, no wrestling experience other than watching.
Hmm.
And I went to Lance's, and from zero to what I know today, I've learned a lot from him. Great trainer. You learn everything one on one, wrestling one on one, everything about the business,
Hmm.
about wrestling, about how to carry yourself, how to speak to people, how to treat people, how to every step you can think of. He taught us, and I'm very grateful for him, and I can't thank him enough for training me as well. Great guy, Lance.
Yes. Also, I think he usually say things about Harry's mood, like these days, young wrestler takes too much risk with their moves.
Yeah. He's very. You see, Lance is very obviously his time when he was getting in the business, obviously with the Chris Jerichos of the world and stuff like that. That's when wrestling was kind of translating to little bit high risk. You had the Rey Mysterios of the world. You had the Lucha Libre guys in WCW and all that wrestling. So wrestling was going to the high end of high risk and stuff. And he's obviously Lance. I don't know. TV didn't do Lance justice in terms of his size. Lance is a very big guy. You
Mm.
know, for a very big guy his size, he can do a lot of very athletic stuff. But he is right in the sense of like the greats of professional wrestling, the very best of professional wrestling ever, did professional wrestling one on one. No high flying, no risks. I'm sure high flying. Some of the greatest lucha libre guys. Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and he's been doing this for 20 something years. So, you know, it could be done when done properly. You know what I mean? Yeah, some of the things I'm sure Lance is speaking of the indie stuff, independent wrestling stuff, where guys do these wild stuff. It's unnecessary. You don't have to do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, since 2017, you worked for several promotions in Canada, like Hag Impact or Real Canadian Wrestling. What do you tell me about the Canadian independent circuit?
Yeah, since I've trained, I've wrestled for a few years. There isn't too many. Of course, you mentioned High Impact. That's when I first started. Real Canadian Wrestling, I do it here locally here. PWA was another one, Prairie Wrestling Alliance. That's the same one that guys like Tyson Kidd, Jinder Mahal, Natalia, you know, all those people kind of came through. Harry Smith, Gama Singh Jr., all those guys, they came through. Since then, really, nothing has been going on. Unfortunately, the Canadian wrestling scene is good, just not as good as the American. You know, there's a lot of very talented people in Canada, coast to coast. I live in Alberta currently, and it's we've got some good workers, good really high level workers that can do it anywhere in the world. It's just unfortunately there isn't enough promotions, there isn't enough places to do it on the regular. For us to do shows, every weekend we would have to travel between Calgary to Edmonton to Saskatchewan to Regina to all sorts of places in Western Canada to Vancouver and all that, and it's every promotion is about 10-hour drive, so it's kind of hard to do that, especially in Canadian winter. It's very it's very cold, very dangerous, so and we're not as lucky as the Americans that get to drive to Cleveland or New York or Boston, or where like there's 7 promotions in every city type of thing. We're not that lucky, but there's really, really great workers in Canada that need to be seen. Unfortunately, we just don't get the opportunities that the Americans do.
Yes. Also, you are part of Whalemania.
Yeah, man. So I've been to a couple of WrestleMania weekends where I go visit friends and family, down there, and usually I'm a big hip hop person. I listen to music a lot, and Wale just so happens to be one of my favorite musicians, favorite rappers since I was in high school. So and the fact that he liked wrestling even made it that much better that I liked him. So yeah, I've attended a few Wale Manias prior. This year just so happened to be one where I was a part of and asked to come to. So it was really cool to go to that and experience it that way.
Nice. Also, this question is very related to your project. How did you meet Bret Hart?
Oh, the best there is, the best there was, the best ever will be.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Bret's a good family friend of mine. We're family friends. I see Bret every weekend almost, or every other weekend if he's busy. Yeah, man, Bret's a great guy, and I met him through just family. I'm good friends with all of his family from his kids to Tyson Kidd to Natty to Brooke to Pete. A lot of his family, close family, his nieces, his nephews. But I'm really good friends with his son, youngest son Blade. We're really good friends, and through the years, I've got to get close with Bret through that. But once he found out that I did, I never brought up to him that I was a wrestler. I never told him I was a wrestler. Never bugged him with it. But once he found out that I was a wrestler, then I think our relationship got a bit better because he looked at me as someone he can help and take to the next level. And I'm more than grateful for that. And since then, he did up my game as much as he can, and I can't thank him enough. Bret's a great guy. The world doesn't speak about him enough. Even though they do.
Yes, maybe if you told him before, maybe he thought, wow, this kid wants to take some advantage or something.
Yeah, exactly. If I went up to him and just said, "Hey, man, I'm a wrestler," No, it's not, especially, someone like you. If I come to your house, I would want to visit your house. I would like to talk to your family, Joe. But if I just come to you right away and, hey, can you help me with this? It's not good. It's, it's the house is peace. You're with your family. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're not supposed to talk about nonsense, but through the years, he's opened up and helped me a lot.
Yeah. Also, I have seen that you met Bret Hart's worst enemy,
Who?
Goldberg.
Yeah.
You protected him at SummerSlam.
Goldberg, yeah, Goldberg. We did 2019 SummerSlam was in Toronto, Canada, and I was a part of the extra wrestling. They had a bunch of wrestlers as extras, and we did some tryouts there and stuff like that. And we were chosen. A few of us were chosen to do the Goldberg security walk, where you walk him to the entrance ramp or the ring, whatever. From my experience, to be honest, obviously Bret had a different experience, and rightfully so. The way Bret, reacts when people speak of Goldberg, rightful. That's right. It's what Goldberg did to Bret, whether it was an accident or not. It's it's something that isn't you can't take back. You can't take it back. You know what I mean? But and my experiences with Goldberg for that weekend, it was good. It was great. He treated all of us people, wrestlers that were his extras, great. He didn't disrespect us. He didn't belittle us. He treated us very fair, very good. So from that experience, I have nothing bad to say about Goldberg. He was a good dude that day. As far as him and Bret go, that's just that's the experience that him and Bret have had. Not for me to speak up of. But give me a sec. I think the window is shining here.
Okay.
I think it's a bit better. There you go.
Well, but you were part of SummerSlam.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was a good, obviously SummerSlam was one of the biggest, if not the second biggest, I think, or whatever, pay-per-views of the year for WWE. And I thought it was a great experience for a guy like me at the time. I was, in the 3 years in, I'm currently 4 years in the business, but at the time 3. If you take pandemic out, at the time 3. I thought it was a great experience. WWE hosted us very well. All of us extras took care of us. Great food, great. We were welcomed with open arms. We roamed around the building freely. No one was on our asses for anything. It was a great experience to just see how everything works. From the wrestlers to the producers to the agents to everything. Especially even I remember we ran across Vince McMahon across the hallway. He's a very busy man, very friendly in the hallway, talked to everyone. But yeah, it was a great experience. Both Triple H and Stephanie were there in the hallway. Shane, very talkative people. They talked to everyone. It was a very good experience for a guy like me to see that.
Yeah. Also, in a recent interview, Bret Hart praised you a lot, saying that you are gonna be a bigger star. How do you felt when Bret Hart gives you such words?
Wow, man, I seen that actually. Yeah, I seen that. I think what was it, last week or the week before or whatever. But man, you can't. You can't. What can you say?
Yeah.
You can't, to me, my opinion, I think Bret Hart is the greatest wrestler of all time. Period. The greatest professional wrestler, greatest professional wrestler is Bret Hart. Everything else, if you want to add everything else, sure, they could, it could be debatable whether other guys come in the conversation, whether Sean comes in the conversation, whether other different wrestlers come in the conversation. But when you talk about professional wrestling, one-on-one and who the greatest wrestler of all time was, Bret Hart is. And for a guy like that to be kind enough to put my name out there or say good things about me like that, I can't thank him. I can never thank him. It's something I can't give nothing back to him for that. You know what I mean? Other than be good to him and and just be friends with him. But I can't give him anything. I can't praise him. I can't say I can't say, hey, Bret Hart is gonna be a great wrestler. No, he's the greatest of all time. So for me, I just say thank you, Bret, and I hope I can make him proud going forward.
Yeah. Also, recently, Daniel Garcia, the All Elite Wrestling wrestler, said that you can be a sport entertainer and a legit wrestler. Look at Eddie Guerrero. Do you think that there is a difference between professional wrestler and a sport entertainer?
Yeah, there is, and if obviously the history of professional wrestling can show you that, and if you look at it, you know, back in the day, even before Bret and Eddie's time, there was territories. You know what I mean? And the territories were more for professional wrestling. You know, it wasn't sports entertaining, and it's just professional wrestling. You know, storylines and whatnot, and you know, bad guy, good guy, everything. So you know, there's a difference between pro wrestling and sports entertainment. And unfortunately, I shouldn't even say unfortunately, but once Vince McMahon took over, and you're now television, you have to be more than professional wrestling. You have to be entertaining. You know what I mean? You can only draw so many people to professional wrestling, and granted, there is a lot of people that watch professional wrestling all across the world, but there's only so much you can bring in. But when you add all these other things like sports entertainment, or entertainment, like whether it's you know, for example, it's funny, like bringing guest people, like bringing Jake Paul, or bringing all these people. It's entertainment. You got to put them together. It's not just wrestling, especially when you're doing, like, WWE doesn't do 4 or 5 matches. You know, they do a whole 3-hour show. So you need things to keep people there. You know what I mean? Whether it's, you know, dancing, whether it's singing, whether it's entertaining, whether it's something, you know. So it's 2 different things. Eddie Guerrero was a sports entertainer, but also a professional wrestler. You know, if you put him in there with anybody and said, hey, Eddie, forget about, you know, cheating, stealing, all that stuff. We want you to wrestle. I'm sure people will have a hard time keeping up with Eddie, you know. But Eddie was just a rare type of wrestler, you know, from anything from his entrance to his, you know, physique, to how he moved, how he looked, how he talked, how he wrestled. Everything was just so entertaining. So like for Eddie, he's up there, one of the greatest sports entertainers ever. You know, I mean, same was The Rock. You know, The Rock is in, you know, none of us can put The Rock in the conversation of best professional wrestlers, but we can put him in the conversation of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sports entertainers. You know, everything about him, you know, from promo, from look, from talk, from dressing, was entertaining. And that's why he is what he is today. He's a worldwide entertainer just filming movies, right? But I think there is a difference between that, and I'm sure people can look the history of wrestling and figure that out.
Yeah. Well, it's time to talk about your project, because you, with Blade and Dallas Hart, you opened a new professional wrestling promotion, Dungeon Wrestling. Why did you decide to open Dungeon?
So for us, we've been talking about this for quite some time. You know, it's something that we've been talking about for a couple of years now. But you know, wrestling in you know, funny enough, I'm wearing right now Stampede Wrestling.
Yeah.
But obviously, Calgary and the Alberta scene back in the day, it was once a territory. You know, and Western Canada was a Stu Hart territory, and it was somewhere where wrestling was, you know, it was a mecca of wrestling. If you were Canadian, and if you were not only Canadian, if you were from Europe, from States, even some, you know, people from, you know, Mexico and whatnot, but it was a place to come to attach your name to, so you can get bigger. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, to go to the dungeon, to go meet Stu Hart, to go get trained by Stu. I'm sure almost every wrestler in the 70s somewhat had something to do with Calgary, or coming through Calgary, getting trained by Stu, getting stretched by Stu, wrestling for Stampede Wrestling. And if you just look at some of the names that came through here, Jake the Snake Roberts, you know, Junkyard Dog, Rocky Johnson, Abdullah the Butcher. You had Harley Race here. You had Andre the Giant here. You had you know, you had all the Hearts. You had Dynamite. You had Davey. You know, you had, you know, I can just, you know, Hockey Tonk, man. You can keep going.
Yes.
So there is such a rich history here that unfortunately, after Stu had passed, was only kept for a certain amount of time. Where guys like Tyson Kidd, guys like Harry Smith, Victor from the Apocalypse, Teddy Hart, there was a Natty Neidhart, there was a group of, Jinder Mahal, all those guys, a group of people after Stampede had died off, and Bruce Hart picked it up. There was a good crew of, guys and girls that came through here, but that was after that it went down, and since then, especially when all those guys left to do bigger things, the wrestling scene here in Calgary has been weak, I believe. It's been great wrestlers, some great wrestlers here, but in terms of regularly and bringing all the fans that we can easily bring, it's a mecca. There's a lot of fans here. There's a lot of people that, their grandparents, their parents, it was a tradition. It was a tradition here to go every Friday to the pavilion and watch Stampede Wrestling. So if we could, we have always talked about bringing that, we've always talked about, if we ever get the chance, we want to bring that feeling back of, of saying, hey, this Friday, let's go to wrestling, let's go to dungeon wrestling, and let's go to Stampede, whatever it is. Unfortunately, the few promotions that are here aren't, they aren't doing that. They have their core group of fans that come here, the 80 people or the 50 people that it is. But apart from that, people don't, people won't leave their houses to come see that. And it's, so for that, we've talked about it. Bret has talked about it. We've come down, we've sat down, and we've thought this is the time to go in, and we're just starting out slowly. We have a couple of good projects coming. Stay tuned for that. We did our first. We've done a couple of shows before, but we did our first show 2 weeks ago. That was a sellout, very successful. And we're only going to get better and better and keep it going. But I think we're going to bring back some of what Stampede left off. Where we can't be what Stampede was, but some where people can come and be proud of, and bring the respect that Calgary had. And hopefully we can do that, and we can do that very, very, very soon.
Yes. Do you have any wrestlers in mind for your shows?
Some wrestlers to bring in?
Yes. Do you have some names in mind?
Oh man, of course, we have a lot. Actually, I just got out right before I hopped in here to talk to you. I just talked on the phone with Dallas Hart, and we were brainstorming about, we have a couple shows in May and in July, and we were back and forth. Even with Bret was talking to us was trying to bring a few people back here, and it's a few names anywhere from try to bring Mark Henry here. We're trying to bring Booker T, Kurt Angle, some of those things. Brian Pillman Jr. Currently, I think the next couple of events, we're going to try to bring Brian Pillman Jr. here. We're going to try to bring X-Pac here. These are big names that we're going to try to bring in to bring eyes to this. And, much like what Stu used to do, he would bring Andre the Giant. That's what this is about, to establish it. And those names can help establish it for now. But, and going forward, we look forward to bringing, as much people as we can bring. And I think the best, guys to bring to this is, guys from AEW, guys from W. It doesn't matter who, but my favorite that I think we will bring here sometime would be FTR. FTR are good guys, Dax Hayward, and Cash Wheeler. Those guys are awesome. Big fans of them. We if we can find the suitable tag team for them, we'll definitely bring them back here.
Yes. Remember that it is also talent in Spain.
Was that?
There is also plenty of talent in Spain, remember?
Oh, of course. Worldwide is open. Anywhere from Spain, Mexico, UK. We're currently building a website right now. And in that website, people can throw us their resumes and stuff, and we'll be more than happy to bring people here as much, as much as we can. And it's not just for the local people, it's for everywhere,
Okay, ya lo habéis oído, luchadores españoles, enviar el currículum. So, saying that you want tradition back, what kind of style would you promote?
Wrestling style?
Yes. Some old school, traditional, or more independent stuff?
You see, that's the thing, we're going to try to bring, our main goal is to bring the best, to give people or the fans the best wrestling show around, you know, absolutely, that money can buy or whatever, you know, whether, you know, definitely I want a mixture. I want a mixture, you know, it would be something, you know, very old, you know, we don't need very old school because that won't do the job, but anywhere from old school to new school to high flying to great technical wrestling all in one, you know what I mean? Every match could be different, and that's what professional wrestling is. Every, you know, you may like a different style of wrestling than I do. You know, the next guy might like a different style, but that's the idea. If we can all do that in one building for the fans, then people can walk away and saying, hey man, I like that match because that's what I like. Hey man, I like that match because that's my style. So that's the idea.
Right now, your logo is a man and a bear. Are you trying to promote bear wrestling, man versus animal?
No. So here's the backstory about that. So back in the day, when Stu was running Stampede Wrestling, some of the attractions that he would bring to the shows were animals.
Yeah.
Right. So they would bring a tiger. You know, they would bring a tiger that would, you know, wrestle with the wrestlers. And one of the biggest attractions at the time in the territory wrestling, not just Calgary, was a bear.
Yeah.
His name was Ted. You know, Ted the man, and he lived under Stu's porch. Right. So they would take him to the show on a Friday night, and they put him in the ring, and someone will go in the ring and wrestle with the bear. Right. So like anyone who, the idea is to try to bring as much tradition and feel from Stampede Wrestling. So the logo being the bear and the guy being Stu is what the idea is, right? So like the bear is the Ted, and the man is Stu. So that's the idea, and for the most part of it, people understood that I watched Stampede Wrestling. But for people that don't know what the concept, that's what it is.
Nice. So do you think that a few years ago, the British circuit has a big resurrection? Do you think that it's going to happen the same with the Canadian circuit?
Say that again.
Several years ago, the British circuit has a resurrection, became very popular. Do you think that in a few years, the Canadian circuit will become the same?
Like hot, like big?
Yes.
Yeah. I believe so. It's just a matter of time, you know. There's a few companies that are opening up around Canada that are taking it really. Unfortunately, the problem here is, and no offense to anybody around here, but the problem here is people, you know, end up getting a promotion, and the flavor of the month for a couple of months, and then after that, you know, it doesn't matter, and that's what happens. But there's a few promotions within Canada that are opening up, and people are taking it serious and treating it as a professional company, and from wrestlers to everything. So I think with that, in the next year or two or whatever, I think people are going to start noticing that Canada has some of the best talent in the world. I mean, there's evidence, and there's facts of the biggest companies of the world. Some of the people that wrestle there, and their best wrestlers are Canadian. You look at WWE, and they look at their track list of wrestlers that are from Canada. Only the best were there. You know, look at AEW, look at Impact. Look, the best wrestlers in the world, for the most part, are from Canada. So we can deliver. It's just the opportunity is the problem. Opportunity is the problem, and that's what's holding a lot of the young Canadian guys coming up. But I think within the next couple of years, with all these things popping up, I think we're gonna have that big, you know, explosion of wrestling around here, and people are gonna start noticing Canada again.
Nice. And why did you decide to name the promotion Dungeon Wrestling and not Stampede?
You know, it's because you know, obviously we didn't want to name it Stampede Wrestling because of how rich and how how great Stampede Wrestling was. You don't want to take that on. We don't want to take that pressure on. You know, I don't think so. At least, you know, it's it's a good idea to have something from Stampede Wrestling and associate it with it. For example, like Dungeon Wrestling, people understand where the dungeon is, and the respect, the house, whatever. So for us to take that and make that the promotion's name is super cool. But to do it Stampede Wrestling is a lot of pressure. We have to, and if we don't deliver on that pressure, it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? But Dungeon Wrestling, there isn't pressure. It's just we're creating everything from the ground up, you know?
Yes. Also, I have seen that back in 2013, a promotion started called Hart Legacy Wrestling. Is still open or close the door?
Yeah, I'm not sure about them. They have no association with the Hart family. No association. Yeah, it's zero association. Yeah, I don't know. I think some lady in Calgary opened it up, but zero association. No Hart family owns it. Nothing. Zero.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just random. Someone random that opened it and called it Hart Legacy.
Okay. Well, last two questions.
Yeah.
Recently, All Elite Wrestling started the Owen Hart Cup. Can you tell me how do you feel and how the Hart family felt when Elite started the Owen Hart Cup?
Actually, I think that's really, really cool, man. Owen Hart doesn't get enough credit in the wrestling world. He gets enough love, deservingly so. He's a great human and a tremendous wrestler. It just, you know, his wrestling and his career and his work only is credited by the ones that know about him. And a lot of the young generation today, younger than me, obviously, may not be aware of Owen. And for AEW to bring his name to light and try to have a tournament, you know, to honor him is such a cool thing, in my opinion. You know, I think his wife, Martha, she does a really great job of helping, you know, people in need here in Calgary and the surrounding areas with the Owen Hart Foundation. So for AEW to help out, I'm sure they're doing some sort of donation to that. It's really cool, but I haven't really spoke to anybody. I'm like some of the nephews and nieces I spoke to, and they felt great about it and they supported and they think it's a cool thing that their uncle is getting, you know, that type of, you know, to get honored like that. But in terms of like his brothers or sisters, I haven't really spoke to anybody, including Bret. I haven't had any discussions about it. I'm sure they're happy for him. I'm sure, but I haven't spoke to anyone about it. And it's a cool concept. It's really cool. It would have been better if they did it in Calgary.
Well, and the last question, your future plans. Where do you see in 5 or 10 years?
Oh man. You know, that's a good question, but tough question because you know, wrestling is not an easy sport.
Yeah,
it's not, you know, it's not like basketball or soccer where there's a perfect blueprint of, hey, go to college, be, you know, there's all that, go to college and after college you can go pro. There's nothing like that. It's just you have to grind, and you know, it's a lot of grinding and a lot of luck put together is what wrestling is. For me, I do think I have a really great chance of making a good name, like, you know, make a good name for myself, and you know, making it to WWE or AEW for that matter. It's just a lot of hard work has to be in it, and I think, you know, my dream and the place that I would like to be is WWE. You know, that's where I want to end up, and that's what I'm aiming for. And in the next, you know, 2-3 years, you know, that's where I think I'll end up. And in the meantime, I just got to work hard, but I don't mind doing AEW for now too.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. One last thing, can you say something for the readers of Solowrestling?
Oh man, like I don't know anything. I don't know any Spanish, but hey, it's a great website, and I hope everyone that's watching or tunes in, keep an eye on this, man. It's a great website, very respectable website, no lies, all good stuff. Yeah, man. Hope they support the website. I support it. So hey, everybody, enjoy.
Well, thank you so much.
One last my friend. Thank you.
Do you want